Welcome back to another TerranScapes video. This video is going to be the beginning of a sort of chronicle of a terrain piece that I'm doing for myself. It is a piece that I will be building for next year's Unplugged Gamers GT. It's a fantasy GT, and it will be sometime, I think, May or June. I forget the exact date, but I'll tell you what, I'll put a link down below if you're interested in following that to see some of the event details, and there's also some pictures from the previous events that we've had. So this gave me a unique opportunity to basically build a project to my whim. I haven't done this before, and it sort of has replaced in some way my painting of miniatures, which used to be sort of an end of the evening relaxing thing, you know, paint a couple minis, and Warhammer has kind of burned me out on painting miniatures. I always felt like I was chasing the releases and the new miniatures, and you know, that I had to increase more. Anyway, I'm taking a break from painting minis for a little while, but I enjoy having a little project like that, so this terrain piece will fill that role. The nice thing about it is because I'm building it purely to my whim as a one-off piece, I get to try all sorts of new things, new techniques, let my, you know, whim carry me where it will, but also to use it as an opportunity to learn some things and try out some new techniques and just see how it goes. So as an intro, I'm just going to show you a small piece of the project, and by small piece I mean 2 of the 3 buildings that will be components of this large rocky outcropping, and as it progresses I will show you more and more pieces, and of course as they progress, more and more of how I'm finishing them. That's quite an introduction, so before I ramble on anymore, let's come over to the bench and I'll show you what I've done so far. So actually, let's get this out of the way here, and we will talk about these in a second. So, just to start off with things I haven't modified, these are going to be some of the components that I add to the rock face. Now, I'm going to keep some parts of this project a secret until I get there, but these will be add-ons, and I've used these actually for some of the parts that I've added to the other buildings. So what I did is I made a mold of, I think this is the right one, I made a mold of this roof shingle, which I showed you actually before when I did the video on Brush on 40. So if you want to see the video on Brush on 40, I will put a link to it right here. And then on the back side of this piece, I made a mold of this, well, with a little light on it wouldn't hurt. That's interesting. Okay, well, I'm sure you get the idea. I made a mold of this piece here, comme ça, so that way I could integrate this into one of the buildings, and it's not going to show actually, so that's kind of nice. It's not going to look duplicated per se. So I did that. Let's set those aside. Here is the cast. Let's get rid of those for a second. Here's the cast piece that I made, and actually I think the cast piece came out pretty well. Why are you not? There we go. So I like that, and I'll explain why I backed it in just a second. And I've made a variety of other molds. This is the one of the molds I showed I was making here off of the front of this building to make all of these little skull bits so that I could have them elsewhere on the project. Because again, my goal with this project, can I get that angle right? I don't know. All right, I'm going to play around. We'll see how that comes out. I think that's going to look good. Is to try to modify these buildings in a way that will appear as seamless as possible, you know, to the original GW building, so it won't look like I've cobbled together a bunch of extra stuff onto it. So that's the goal. That's why I've made all these molds. I'm going to take 2 seconds before I go into that project, including this dormer mold, and I made this window mold, which I showed you. This was the mold that I made back in the Brush on 40 video. And before I get into, before I leave the mold making, I just want to talk about one of the attempts that I did. I wanted to make a mold. All right, now you're going to have to wait before you start asking me about this stuff. I wanted to make a mold of these shingles so that I could take them and use them on the extra add-on that I was building. And I thought, you know what, I'll just make a quick mold rather than mixing up a bunch of rubber. I'm going to make a quick mold out of green stuff. I mixed it all up. I did my best to press it in. You know, I mean, I really tried to work it into the recesses. Maybe I should have done a thinner layer and then overlaid it with another layer. But you can see that I got a ton of bubbles in this. This did not work out well at all. I was super, super disappointed with it. And so I ended up making a mold using the Brush on 40. Now, wait a minute. I've got two of these. Let's see here. This was my, oh dear, I think this was my first attempt. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So just to give you a sense, so here in the Brush on 40, if you look, oh, I need a, hold on. Don't go anywhere, people. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here we go. So if you look when I made the first mold, you'll see actually that there are quite a few bubbles in it. And this is one of the difficulties with Brush on 40. Because it's thicker, driving it into the gaps between the roof tiles actually is a little tricky. So I didn't like this mold, and this was the mold I used to kick it on, and so it was, you know, I wasn't helping it by speeding up its cure time. It's called cure time. And so here was the second attempt, and you can see that it's relatively perfectly bubble free. Actually, I think it is. I think there's a couple little tiny bubbles, but I'm not too worried about those. However, when I demolded this, and more importantly, when I cast into it, I did end up with some, and I don't even think they're going to show. Oh, wait, here's one. Can you see that little tear right there? It actually tore in a couple of these deep spots. Oh, there's another one right there. I don't know if you can see that. And that is one of, if I were to have any faults with Brush on 40, that is one of them, is that its tear resistance is not as high as some of the other rubbers that I have used in the past. So it, you know, like anything, right, there's pros and cons depending on the properties that you're looking for. I probably would not use this rubber on something that had a lot of strong undercuts for that reason. So that's enough about the mold making. That's all the goals that I wanted. And we're going to talk about this building because it's more involved in a second. So this was the first building I started to work on. And what I noticed right away is that, where are they? I know there's some on here. Hello. Where are they? That's funny. There we go. All right. It's probably better on the close cam. All right, so in the back here, right, you see this little panel there. So I noticed that right away, that it had a couple of those panels. I know there are more on here, and I'll be cursed to see if I can find them. I don't know where they, I swear there were a couple. In any case, it's not important. So what I thought I would do is dress it with a few more of these, just to give it a little bit more texture, a little bit more, like I need to add more texture to a GW building. I mean, they're like the busiest terrain elements that you can see, but I thought I'd have fun with it. The rivets that you see here are made with the Nutter. This is a basically a punch in heavy grade aluminum. It's sort of like a punch and die setup, but not quite. I will do a review on the Nutter at some point in the future. There are some pros and some cons with it for sure, but one of the things I liked is that I could get a pretty good match between these rivets, you know, and so again, looking for that relatively seamless look, I was pleased with that. Then I decided on the front, I actually had to modify the front because this normally accepts a set of stairs, and I didn't want to use the stairs, and I actually want to use them somewhere else. So what I did is I took apart another section, and don't ask me where these things came from because I did it so long ago I don't remember. But I cut out this ladder piece, and then I added that below because there's actually a gap in the back here that I had to fill. So I filled it with that ladder to give the implication? What's the word I'm looking for? The implicit fill in the word yourself, but the illusion maybe that you could climb up to access the door. However, I am going to have a drawbridge coming off of this door at some point, so it's not perfectly legit, but that's okay. I'm willing to let it go at the moment, and it's going to mostly be out of sight, and maybe when the bridge was collapsed or before it was built or something, right, they needed to access it. So what else have I added to this? Primarily, I've worked on this door here, and this is kind of a little whimsical, as I said this project would be. What I thought I would do is add a slew. I think it's slew. I'm going to say it's a slew, or basically a trough, that the people inside the building could throw open the doors and dump, boiling water onto the people crossing across the drawbridge, or, coals on them, or a bucket of nails, whatever they have inside, they're going to dump it on these guys if they try to cross. So I wanted to, actually, that's not very straight. I don't know if you can see that. I got to work on this a little more. So I tried to do that, and then I put in this door here, and with the rivets, made a couple styrene hinges here, and this is like a half rod, so it's like a rod cylinder, but there's only half of it, and that made kind of a nice hinge on the doors. I actually was trying to make something fancier than this, and I spent a lot of time on it, and it didn't work. So let's fall back to something that's easy and works well. You're probably going to ask a couple questions about this door. First is, what is this material behind it? This is expanded polystyrene. So basically, it's styrene that's been expanded similar to foam core. It's much more dense, and it takes texture in a different way. I love it. I saw a video where somebody was using it, and I had never heard of it before. Immediately jumped online, ordered myself some. I'm going to be ordering this in bulk in the near future. It's much more durable than, say, balsa wood. It takes texture differently than balsa wood, and it is easier to cut than foam core. It's got a lot of advantages. It's easier to cut than styrene, but it's more expensive, and so it has to be used where you really need it, I think, because I was looking at a bulk set, and a sheet of this is pretty expensive. Then I dressed it with some, balsa wood around it, and then this material here is brain fry. Thank you. Thank you to my brain. This is balsa foam. Now, balsa foam is a carvable foam, and it's really, where am I uneven here? Let me take a look and just see if I was going to scratch it off. Where can I scratch it? It's fingernail soft. All right. So it comes in a variety of hardnesses. I think there are 3 grades of hardness. Very easy to sculpt. And then, because of its porous nature, you can coat it with PVA or paint, multiple layers. It will soak into it and give it a rock-hard texture. This is an amazing material. Love it. I will be doing a review of this product sometime in the future as well. But if you're just curious, go to dickblick.com and look up balsa foam, and they've got it in 3 hardnesses, and you could take a look at it there. So, last thing that I did on this building is I added in these 2 pieces here. These are going to be slots for the chain that will come down to the drawbridge to lift it up. It's probably going to be a split drawbridge that will, half of it will go up here and half of it will go up here. I might have to make the door, make the walkway short enough here so that when it folds up, at least visually, right, it would fold up underneath this. I'll take a look at that. That's down the road. So that is basically what I've done to this building so far. Nothing radical. Oh, I almost forgot, but there was a little chimney here, and this chimney was basically the same as this chimney, and I thought if they've got, I don't know, a smelting or a pot full of boiling oil, or they're running a fire in here, this is really not a very good place to vent, especially if you're standing up here. So what I decided to do was to modify it so that I could have a pipe coming off of it that would come up to, let's see here we go. Oh, I put all these strips on it that are messing it up. But anyway, it's going to come up like this. And this is just styrene tube. And then I'm going to cap it with the original cap. And then, you know, this will fit. Whoop. There we go. This will fit right here. We're going to do a little fade. Craptastic. Can I get that in there? There we go. And so basically, the original tip that goes on the chimney will then go on top of this piece, and it's a pretty good join, although it's a little hard for me to show it right now. So you might be asking then, what are all these bands I've put on here? One of the things that that the pipes have, and I'll show you this one as an example, is it has these straps on it, these metal straps, presumably to hold the pipe together or whatever it is. And I wanted to replicate those, and actually mine are far too thick, which might actually assist me if I redo these. And I wish I had, of all the styrene that I've got, bits and lengths and thicknesses, and I've got a ton, I do not have a tube that would fit right over this one, which would be perfect, because then if it would slip right on, I could slice off little bits and slide it on. I don't really want to deal with trying to order some and wait for it. So what I thought I would do is cut strips to make the straps, all right, wrap it around, and then what I did is, because I was having a hard time getting it on, I used some styrene adhesive, like plastic weld, so that I know it'd be a strong bond, and then I would wrap them around, trim them, and then I would have them on there just right. Looking at them, they are not just wrapping around. See, they've got like a bit of a fold in them when I do that. I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. And so that's not going to make it as easy as I thought. I was ready to pull all these off, and then I just realized, in fact, just this second, that if I just heat these with the heat gun, I'll get that nice and soft, and then I can wrap it around and then trim it where it's going to meet this part, and then glue it in place. And I think that's actually going to work pretty well. And then I can just put a few rivets on it to match the other piece. So that's where we're at with that building. We'll set that aside. This intro will be a little longer because you know, I have to catch you up to speed with what I've done to this point. So this is the chapel component of the fortified manor, and I wanted to do some alterations to it, of course. And so the first thing I did is I made a mold of this dormer and then cast that so I could have a double dormer on that side. I think that looks kind of nice. Plus, underneath this is the there's a hole in the roof, like a battle damaged hole, or lacking repairs kind of hole. And so I really didn't want to deal with that, so this dorm really fits over it. It's designed to fit over it and cover it. And so put it back after I made the mold and made the second one. There's quite a bit of gapping in there, though, that I'm going to have to green stuff, or I don't know. I want to find another filling putty that's better than green stuff and it's easier to use. So in the comment section in this video, tell me what's your favorite gap filling material, because I really don't like working with green stuff. It's good. I'm not going to diss green stuff, but I have a feeling there's something out there that's easier, cheaper, and maybe something that's just quick to mix and just stick it in there, rather than green stuff where you got to keep pressing it and it's shiny and rounded and you got to smooth that texture out. I don't know. Maybe you have an idea. If it's going to be green stuff, I'll do green stuff. After that, I wanted to do a add-on to the building, and like a sort of second build that somebody built after this. I kind of have this vision of making this like the sorcerer's home, and so this will actually be the piece that bridges to the fortified tower here, and that way this is the stopgap that prevents people from accessing the manor where the sorcerer lives, or wizard. We'll see. Of course, why did they have the drop slough? It's a slough, right? I'm going to look that up. If I'm not thinking of the right word, I'm going to put the right word right here. But why would they have it facing the place they're supposed to protect? I don't know. Maybe when the wizard gets crazy and he tries to come across, they can stop him. We'll make up the story that works for you. All right. So what I did is I used some of that expanded polystyrene to make the walls. That way I can texture them at some point, because the stone walls, I'm assuming these are stone, on the original building have some cracks, which are going to be pretty easy to replicate. And then I wanted to do the shingles. So this is the roof shingle from this, so that it would be a great match for this in texture. Should look pretty seamless. I had to add a styrene rod to try to give this effect. I don't have one this size. Can I just say, getting these little lines in here took me a little while. Why? Because I wanted them to be perfect. And in order to do that, I wanted to make a lathe of a sort, so that I could spin it and then cut into it to make a perfect, cut, mark it all out and just slice it. That took me some time. First thing I tried to do was mount this in a drill and then spin this and then use my Dremel spinning to carve it. That did not work out well. Second thought was to put it in the Dremel, spin the Dremel, and use a knife to cut it. That did not work out well. I threw away like 4 lengths this big trying to figure this out. Then finally, after many experiments, I came across the idea of spinning it in the Dremel and then using one of these pointed diamond files. And you can see it's got a really nice tiny point on it. And that allowed me, without putting too much friction or cut on it as I was spinning, I could just lay it against it and just sand out those grooves, and that worked out really well. So that's how I did the top there. Now, I'm almost done here before I talk about the problems and how I might fix them. So here are the windows that I molded, and I cast those. I figured this needs some windows. And then I made an extra cast of the dormer face, and I put in the sanded it down, mounted it to this wall. And then on the back wall, I wanted to put this piece. I thought that might make a nice back element here, and then put a, a window up here or something like that. All right, here's the problem. Right away, as I got to this stage, and I kind of rushed a little because I didn't like all these little bits hanging around. I was worried I'm going to lose them, so just get them on there and we'll figure it out later. When you look at this building, there is a ton of depth to it, right? These buttresses come out. This comes out, the windows kind of sit in, there's this trim, these are raised, right? There's a lot of textural depth to the side of this, and this is flat as a lake. Not a good start. So I'm going to need, for me, to build out sections that are going to give it some of that 3D feel and give the impression. What this does is it effectively gives an illusion that the wall is relatively thick. And that's something that I'm going to have to work on. I am contemplating, faintly, this is going to be a fallback option. I might make a mold of this section because it is rather nice. And then I could mount that, like, say, here or something like that. I don't want to do that, though, because I want to do something unique on this that fills the same role but has the same flavor but is a little different. So I have an idea. I'm going to show you that in a second. Well, not that, actually, because I haven't gotten there. But for the band here, and you can see the band has these little elements on it, these little stars. What is it? There's the comet, Sigmar's comet, I think. I'm not big into fluff, so I'm not sure I remember that correctly. The sun and the moon. These are the 3 that tile across. This is a nice little band, and it would really be nice to tile that across this piece as well, to carry that feel all the way through. So I really was concerned, worried, how am I going to do that? I guess that's the gist. So I decided to go back to the silver bullet. I have not done any of this kind of work yet on it, and I thought this is where it starts to earn its money. Can I do details this small with this kind of precision? The answer is yes. And I was very excited about that. It's the first time I've been really excited about the silver bullet. So first, here are the cuts that I did. Now, hopefully, contrast-wise, you can see them. Of course, you can see the holes where I punched them out. So I set it up, and when I do a review of the silver bullet, It will be a comprehensive overview, including the settings that I used and the blades for this. I'm still learning how different blades work with different materials, how to not break them. I was using a really nice blade for this, broke it. My user error. I think I know why. Oh, you know, you got to be careful. But in any case, I thought I would give you a sense of what they look like when they are, you know, out of the... now, see, I didn't know how much I could tip this. So looking from above is going to be maybe better, even though they're small. So I got a griffin head. I got another comet, a little bit more detailed than this. A moon. I got a nice sun. And I got a... what is it? A fleur de blanc. I'll put that down below as well. That actually I think is a 40K Sisters of Battle symbol. I really liked it, and so this was my thought of maybe adding to the front of this piece here, and then in the back do a window that will sort of give it a mimic type impression of this window here. So that's the plan for these two peak areas of the roof. But, man, I like these. All right, I'm going to see if I can give you a close-up of this because they're just so nice. Oh, let's see. Can I? Oh, God. Look at those. Are they great? I'm so jazzed. I think I could even go a little smaller than this because, whoop, oh, boy, I'm going to have to find that. Oh, look, I got an extra one. Okay, don't knock any more of these off. If you see in the top, this piece inside of it, look at the little detail I was able to get out of it. This is 0.05 styrene. Nope, wait, this is 0.01 actually, which I was wondering if I could get this kind of detail out of. So really, really jazzed about this. And what I need to do is punch these out. I'm going to make a trough. The trough will probably run underneath these windows, and it will come across this side, and then it will come across underneath here to kind of tie in that element. Now, one thing that I've done that, I hope you're still following me, the one thing I've done that I maybe wish I'd thought about a little bit more before I did it was adding all the wood around the building sides. This is balsa foam as well. And I thought that because this is going to be suspended, I'm going to have brick pylons that will match these buttresses here that will be the support for this structure. But I figured, who's going to build, you know, these kinds of add-ons with brick when it's suspended like this? So I thought, well, I'll just trim it in wood and everything's fine. But I may go in and carve out some of these bits so that I can wrap this, mimicking seam smoothly all the way around the same way this building has, and really try to capture that element. And maybe I'll expand the gap a little bit, and then I can put in some of these, what are they, metal straps or whatever. I was trying to see if I could find one that's a little easier to see. So anyway, you can see here how they have these little metal straps that go around. And the nice thing is doing that is going to be really fairly easy. I can just cut those out by hand. I don't think I need the silver bullet for that. And then I can rivet them using the nutter, and it will match up pretty well. Oh, one more thing. I am almost done. One more thing. I tried to make the wood match the texture of the wood on the chapel. It's tricky. Let's take a look at the wood here, and I'll show you what I mean. The wood has a very deep groove pattern in it that's relatively tightly spaced. So I wanted to try to replicate that. And then notice the nails in the roof. Let's see if I get a little angle so you can see those. These nails, man, they stick out a lot. So I can't just put a little rivet there and count it as done. If I want to match this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I think the pin vise wire I have is this size. So I'll drill out in the balsa foam. I'll drill it out, and then I can, I think the bloggy just shut off. All right, well, we're learning here. And then I can put the actual pin in it, right? Trim it and literally pin it to make the nails. So that's the current plan on that. I'm going to need some things to come out 3D, give it some depth, give it some perspective, and I haven't figured that out yet. So that probably will be part of the next update, at least some ideas that I've come up with, even if I haven't done it yet. Oh, can I just say, I'm not going to talk about it much, but can I just say getting this roof in right and figuring out how big to make all this took me a lot longer than I expected. And then getting it to make a good seam with this roof and carry down in there and cutting these little pieces to fit in after I, had the big, man, but I got it done. And I'm pretty jazzed about that as well. So that gives you a rather detailed overview of the work I've been doing on this project. And there will be much, much more to do as I go along. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, this initial, the alpha look of this piece. Lord knows when the omega look will occur. So that gives you a look at the project, at least parts of it that I have done to date. I've got a box of bits and stuff that I purchased as add-ons, and a friend gave me the Fortified Manor, and that was sort of the starting, genesis of the project. GW dropped the Fortified Manor? When did that happen? That's a great little kit. I don't know. But anyway, I'm lucky to have one, and it's a great foundation for this project. So hopefully you enjoyed taking a little look at this and maybe get a little inspiration for how you can modify some pre-existing pieces when you buy them. And hopefully you'll come back and continue to follow me along. I'm going to try and put up a weekly update on how this project is going, which has the added benefit of actually making sure I do new things each week. The amount of time I expect to put into this is staggering, but it's hobby, so it doesn't matter. So I can put in 300 hours on it if I want to, and I would love to do that. Who knows what I can come up with that kind of open-ended, go nuts on it kind of thing, at least until I get sick of it. But I'm feeling pretty excited at this point, and because each stage will be different, I'm likely to enjoy it all the way through. So if you're interested in leaving questions or comments down below, always happy to address them. And also a reminder that, if you have questions, sometimes you might be curious, don't forget to look in the comment section and see, give it a quick skim and see if some of the questions you have already been answered. A lot of times people are exchanging ideas in there. They're giving me a tip, I'm giving them a tip. So it's always a good resource. You could just do a quick skim and see where I've given some kind of long response, and you probably know, oh, that's something probably worth checking out. And maybe you'll find something of note. So hopefully you'll come back and join me to see this and quite a few other things that I'll be bringing in the next week or two. Because I'll be back soon with another TerranScapes video. GT next year. Start that over. What is up with that throat? What is up with that?